Good evening. French tactical teams went after the man believed to be behind last week's massacre in Paris.
We know 2 people are dead and 8 others arrested in the overnight raid. Investigators do not know if the suspected mastermind was one of them. Fox News senior correspondent Rick Leventhal has the latest from Paris in a story that's first on Fox.
The French president says his country is at war with ISIS terrorists. For 7 hours this morning, the battle was fought in the streets of Saint-Denis. Military special forces, SWAT teams, and more than 100 French police raided an apartment just after 4 a.m., where the suspected mastermind of last Friday's Paris terror attacks was believed to be hiding out.
We could see the policemen. It wouldn't stop.
Witnesses counted as many as 10 explosions, and authorities say more than 5,000 shots were fired, nonstop, for more than an hour. And near the end of the standoff, more blasts. One of them, a female suicide bomber, detonating her vest, collapsing the 3rd floor onto the 2nd, and a male suspect killed by gunfire and a grenade. 8 others were taken into custody, including 2 men trying to hide in the rubble. But authorities say the captured do not include the Belgian jihadist Abdelhamid Aboud, the accused mastermind of the Friday the 13th massacres. Authorities have not confirmed if he's among the dead.
We are trying to identify the terrorists that are retained or the terrorists that are dead or anybody that could be implied or involved.
I learned it was at my house, and the individuals barricaded themselves at my house. I didn't know that they were terrorists.
The apartment owner is among those in custody, despite his claims he was doing a favor for a friend and didn't know his tenants were terrorists. Meanwhile, French police have alerted European neighbors to be on the lookout for a Citroën vehicle that could be carrying Salah Abdeslam, the so-called 8th terrorist who handled logistics and rented one of the vehicles used in the attacks. And the French military continuing the campaign against ISIS abroad.
What is at stake is to put an end, to annihilate an army that threatens the entire world, not merely some countries versus others.
Hollande said the French aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle has left its port to assist in military operations in Syria. And Russia used long-range supersonic bombers Wednesday against the Islamic State, the first time this type of aircraft has been flown against the group. Secretary of State John Kerry said today the strategy against ISIS is working.
Just in the last few days, we have taken on their oil revenue, which is where they're really getting their money to pay for these tentacles that are reaching out.
Meanwhile, the State Department now walking back comments made yesterday in France by Secretary Kerry that some critics felt offered justification for the Charlie Hebdo attack in January.
All he was simply doing was proffering forth the rationale used by the terrorists in their attempt to justify it, and reflecting, I think, the notion that in the Hebdo attack, not that it's justified, but that they justified it based on a certain act by publishers.
Meanwhile, in the southern city of Marseille, a teacher at a Jewish school was stabbed by 3 men who pledged support to ISIS. The men began insulting and threatening the teacher and then stabbed him in the arm and leg, but the teacher will survive. The men got scared off when a car rolled up. In Paris, Rick Leventhal, Fox News.
The floor of the building collapsed when the suicide vest exploded, complicating the identification process of the deceased.